What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Timecrimes. Timecrimes is a 2007 Spanish sci-fi horror film that was written and directed by Nacho Vigalondo and was first requested to me by Andre Redon back on my The Guest review that I released back on the 2nd of March. Okay, so honestly, I don't really want to give you too much of a plot description here because I don't want to touch on any spoilers whatsoever, and none of the trailers out there avoid spoilers, so I'm going to try to be as vague as I possibly can here. Timecrimes follows a man named Hector, played by Karra Elejalde, who lives in the Spanish countryside with his wife. But one day he spots some fishy behavior going on that has to do with a woman being attacked in the nearby woods. Hector checks out the situation and runs into a bandaged attacker who stabs him with scissors, and the rest of the film is spent watching Hector attempt to stay alive and also just understand what is actually going on. So yeah, that was totally a vague plot description, I know, but honestly Andre did instruct me not to watch a trailer and not to look up anything about this film going in, and besides watching this review, that's definitely what I recommend as well should you choose to actually go out and watch Timecrimes. Overall, I enjoyed Timecrimes because it's different. It's honestly unlike any other film I've ever seen before because it takes a really cool sci-fi concept and packages it into a simple, cohesive, and thrilling story that's very, very unique. It follows like 3 or 4 characters and keeps the story relatively isolated to basically one location, and that's basically at or around Hector's house in the countryside. Timecrimes is listed at least in part as a horror movie, but it's really not that. It's more of a sci-fi thriller than anything else. I say that because there's nothing really all that scary about this movie. There are a couple of scenes that are a little bit shocking to watch play out on screen, but there's more tension and suspense than anything else, which works wonders, but definitely falls more in the line with the thriller genre than the horror genre, and definitely more sci-fi than anything. And I think what I liked most about this film was, like I previously mentioned, the unique take on the story, but also the total mindfuck that it is. There's several things that happen at various points in the movie that won't make a ton of sense to you when they actually happen, but as the story progresses and you start to understand why these crazy things are happening to Hector and the supporting characters, the bigger picture becomes clear, and then you're like, holy shit, mind blown. Mind blown indeed, because the way that the various events of the story come together like puzzle pieces to a puzzle is very exciting to watch over the course of the film. You get brief glimpses into the events that are unfolding, and while all the various possibilities and theories are circling in your mind, you'll stay intrigued and feel like you have to keep watching to get some sort of explanation for what you're seeing on screen. And Timecrimes almost always provides you those answers. It doesn't offer cop-outs in any way. It's almost never like, oh, we're just not going to give you the answers to those questions because we want you to come up with your own theories. It gives you answers and for the most part provides you the resolution you're seeking. This isn't to say that Timecrimes gives you answers to every question you have, because that's not true, and I'm glad they don't. I like that they answer a lot of your questions, the most pressing ones, but intentionally leave other bigger questions you may have about the characters themselves ambiguous. A film like this that's intended to be thought-provoking is supposed to have some ambiguity because it allows you to think about the bigger themes outside of just the story itself. I also really enjoyed the acting from the small cast of characters. You spend the vast majority of the film with Karra Elejalde's character Hector, and he is very good in this movie. You don't ever really learn much about Hector, but you learn enough to sort of understand why he makes the decisions he does. Hector's actions and facial expressions speak much louder than anything he actually has to say, and this approach worked very well overall, in big part to Karra Elejalde's layered performance. Honestly, you don't really spend enough time with any of the supporting characters to become too invested in them, but I also really like the scientist who was played by the director Nacho Vigalondo. He was pretty interesting too. The music composed by Eugenio Miro was also really impactful for me. It sort of reminded me of the music from Prisoners, but a little bit more spacey for lack of a better term. It really adds a lot of suspense and tension and makes the story feel a little bit more dramatic than it otherwise would feel. Music in a thriller film is especially important because you need to feel that tension before you see it, and the music in Timecrimes makes you feel that. So sadly, I have a couple cons for this film as well. The first is that some of the scenes, including the stunts and the decision to go with strictly practical effects rather than visual effects, often feels a little too old-fashioned. The best way I could describe it would be that Timecrimes feels like it was made in 1997 and not 2007. Like, some of the stunts look a little awkward and unrealistic, and some of the practical effects themselves can sort of just suck you just a tad out of the experience because things can look a little too old-fashioned. I also didn't love the ending. It's not awful, it's not like you're going to be completely disappointed and feel like you wasted an hour and a half of your life or anything, but it just wasn't as exciting and conclusive conclusive as I wanted it to be. It almost felt like they were going to fade to black into another shot, but they just didn't get around to it and the movie ends. But overall, Timecrimes is a very unique sci-fi thriller film that I think hardcore movie lovers will enjoy. For the average everyday person, I don't think they'd really find too much value in it. Regardless, I thought Timecrimes had a very unique, thrilling, and thought-provoking story, some nice acting from its leading man, a very strong and nicely themed score, and a nice combination of cohesion and ambiguity. Sadly, I also felt the film feels a little too old-fashioned every now and then, and the ending was a little anticlimactic. I'm still going to give Timecrimes an 8 out of 10, and recommend that the hardcore movie lover check this one out wherever you can. I don't think the average everyday person in 2017 would be too interested in this one, honestly. So have you guys seen Timecrimes before? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And also let me know your favorite foreign film of all time. I think I've only reviewed like 3 foreign films now, so that's going to be a tough question for me, honestly. That's all for now, though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.